Greetings, I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome to In-Depth. There has been increased conversation about supporting SMEs in the last budget presentation. Now, to get a bit of insight into the policy direction and general rollout, we are joined by Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning. Minister Manning, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Hello, all is well. Thank you so much for having me on the program. Hello, Trinidad and Tobago.
And it's really our pleasure to have you. And one of the things we want to do is talk about the Ministry of Finance's position on SMEs, because to me, it says something when things are mentioned specifically in the budget, the way you're putting your money behind, putting money behind your mouth.
Yes,
So
yes,
a policy position from the ministry from you. Thank you.
yes. We understand the importance of SMEs in terms of growing and strengthening our economy. And we have put a specific focus on that aspect of the economy. We realized during the COVID crisis and even before, we had some challenges in terms of connecting with SMEs and persons who were interested in developing small and medium enterprise in Trinidad and Tobago. There was a huge gap in terms of I would say the back end type of services that we need, and also documents information. For example, some persons did not have unaudited financials, they didn't have other documents, they may not have been paying their taxes and so on, and it made it difficult for them to access government assistance and especially government loans and that sort of thing. So we decided to put together a comprehensive package recognizing the issue at hand to ensure that SMEs were not left behind and that we put a specific emphasis on growing and developing SMEs because we understand the importance of those SMEs to our economy.
And it's interesting that you say it like that because sometimes it feels as though you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So if
Yes,
you just share the money with the people, with individuals who say that they need the money, that is one thing, and that fills a need, that fills a gap. But then when you have people holding you accountable as they should, asking where has the money gone,
of
and
course.
looking
And
for
not just
checks and
where,
balances.
but who have you given it to? We couldn't just hand out cash to people randomly, especially if someone was behind on the NIS payments or weren't paying their taxes or they had other shortcomings, other things that violated the law. It would have made it extremely difficult for government to justify handing them money in a situation like that, the people who owed on their VAT and whatever else. So we understand, and understand that there was a need to offer a level of mentorship to help some of the SME participants to really get up to date in terms of meeting the regulatory standards. It wasn't in every case their own fault. In some cases, it was simply they just didn't know any better. And we understood that they required a different level of hand-holding or more than we thought they needed before. So we decided to fill that gap and to meet them halfway.
And I think there was also the opportunity for a level of bipartisanship, saying, okay, well, we're involving the 41 representatives or MPs. So you know who your people are, you know who the people in need are. But coming out of that though, seeing that there are these gaps, what are some of the things that the ministry is working
Yes,
towards to say, okay, well, these are the gaps that we have identified, and these are
yes.
some of the ways that we're going to address them?
But let me tell you, I have a list of some of the programs here. And one of them, initially, we have a $500 million partnership with the local commercial banks, which is being spearheaded by FCB. And that is to ensure that that our SMEs have access to loan funding. It's part of our long-term loan guarantee scheme for SMEs. And what government does is that we would guarantee up to 80% for a term of 10 years, plus a 2-year moratorium on loans specifically issued to various SMEs. So that's extremely important. Access to funding is one of the major issues that our SMEs are dealing with. We also have partnered with the Ministry of Trade and Industry in something called a Gateway to Trade program, which is in collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries. It targets 4 types of sectors: business and professional services, information and communication technology, energy services, and tourism. We also have an export booster initiative in collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturing Association with I would say it would enhance the market accessibility of the SMEs that are interested in manufacturing. There's also a grant fund facility with Export TT, and that's coming out of the Export Booster Initiative. Then we also have the SME Mentorship Program. That's extremely important. This is in collaboration with the Central Bank and the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. This is where we pair persons who are interested in getting involved in developing an SME business with trained professionals. We have a cadre of professionals who are there to give advice in terms of whether it's accounting, whether it's marketing, different various types of advice that fledgling business people would want access to and may not think that they can afford to access. Would be made available to them through the SME mentorship program.
And I want to stick up in there though. And
sure.
Looking at that mentorship program, which I think is so important because it's important for people who have done it or people who are trying to do it to see that it is possible. Other people have done it in their own way. But who's the cohort? Who are the people who are being targeted for this mentorship program?
Yes.
Is it that someone just jump up and say, hey, wash your foot and come? Is there a base level that you need to be able to fulfill? How do people engage with this mentorship program?
No, it's for persons who may already be in business, even those who are just starting or considering a business and just want some level of advice. They can reach out, and that's what I was getting to. All of these services are tied into a nice bow into what's called the SME marketplace. And you can access this marketplace, an integration of all of these services on the Ministry of Finance website. If you go there, all the information is there, and you can decide exactly what services that you would require to really improve your stance as an SME. We really want to encourage young persons who are interested in business, and maybe not so young, but especially also female entrepreneurs, ladies who want to get involved in business. They don't want to be employees, and they decide that they want to get involved in being in business, because we understand for some of the more vulnerable groups how important having a business of your own and being able to take care of yourself can be. So we understand that, and we are certainly focusing on ensuring that the opportunities are there.
What are some of the other players in the grand scheme of things? Because you say that, and I think it goes so wide and so far, Minister Manning, looking at the fact that I think generally the common culture is I need to get myself to a level where I can get a job that will have me comfortable and I'll be there forever. But even though things are changing now, you no longer have somebody shaking hands at the end of 50 years and getting a watch and stuff. But I think the society at large is still very kind of risk averse. So that spirit of entrepreneurship, is that something that the ministry is partnering with other people to help address in various ways?
Yeah, it's been a part of our culture for a long time, and it's really a byproduct of our good fortune. We have been extremely fortunate as a country in terms of our economy. A person could have gotten a job in the public service for an extended period of time, and they would have been secure, even though stuck within a certain band in terms of income. They would have been secure for their entire careers. There are persons, or especially young people today, have decided that they don't want to go that route. They want to be business people. They want to get involved. They want to be able to take the risk that could possibly afford them an unlimited income and to get involved in that way. And that is beneficial to the country, it's beneficial to them. And there's no problem with anyone who wants to be an employee. We just want to ensure that the opportunities for people who want to be in business are also there.
And in terms of looking at those opportunities, we're going to take this opportunity to take a short break. We are speaking with the Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning. Stay with us. We'll return. Welcome back. We are going in depth on some of the things that are there out of the Ministry of Finance, big things on the horizon, and already started, I believe, Minister Manning. And I didn't ask about timelines, though. You gave us some of the things that are in store, but what are some of those timelines that you're looking for?
Yeah, many of these services are already available. Others that aren't will probably be available by the beginning of the new year. We've been working diligently on ensuring the accessibility to these services, and we understand how important they are. And let me give you a rundown of exactly, why we want to grow the SME sector in Trinidad and Tobago, or how exactly. We want to grow the sector by increasing access to traditional and new export markets, enhancing capacity and competitiveness of firms in the non-energy manufacturing sector. We want to attract new investors. Of course, the more investors we attract, especially foreign direct investment, we grow our economy, create more jobs, create more opportunities. Improving the ease of doing business, extremely important, and one of the main objectives of this government. And promoting a dedicated digital transformation regarding e-commerce and participation of SMEs and entrepreneurs in the economy. As you know, everything is being digitized. The world is moving into a digital era. We have to ensure that our people are at the forefront of this effort in the region, whether you're doing business online, ensuring that government services are also available online. All of that is part of this program and how we intend to grow the SME sector in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Manning, you spoke about even if you are in the ideation phase, you have an idea for business and you're getting ready to engage with these sorts of things. You spoke about also being spearheading, FCB spearheading one of these initiatives.
Yes, the $500 million long-term loan initiative, yes.
But how do unbanked or underbanked individuals get a slice of this pie, be able to engage to just, and sometimes all you want is a foot in the door before you're able to really establish something and move forward?
I think a lot of people, any sensible business person would seek out advice. And I think that's the major component. The mentorship program is one that's an extremely important component of this overall initiative. If you have an idea, you've drafted a business plan. Of course, you have to do a lot of stuff on your own too. If you want to draft a business plan, read books, look on the internet, all that information is there. You're not going to find people who are going to do the work for you. But if you need advice on exactly what direction to go in, someone will be there to advise you and to assist you. And that's what you want to do. There's a lot of work to be done before you get to the funding stage. Right? You have to make sure that your business plan makes sense, that your business idea makes sense. I would say, I think the statistic is 4 out of 5 businesses fail, or 3 out of 5 businesses fail within the first 5 years. And I would say that many of those businesses failed due to undercapitalization. And 2, it was a bad business idea to begin with. So it's very important and I think essential for you to get the right advice to know that if what you're thinking business-wise actually makes sense before you put your capital at risk and take out a loan and get involved that way financially.
And this actually reminds me of some of the conversations that we've had with individuals representing Career and Netco in terms of like those business incubator plans. Yes. And talking about the fact that, yes, you can fail, but it makes sense to fail forward. And sometimes we also even have Kwame Ture saying sometimes you go to zero, but you go back to a higher quality zero that you can spring from. But even looking at...
There's no reward without risk, right? And that's, if you're an entrepreneur, then you have decided to take risk. That's part of the game. That's what you signed up for. And you signed up to take that risk because of the possible return from doing so. So we can help you mitigate some level of that risk with good advice. Even in Trinidad today, some of the larger businesses and conglomerates receive advice all the time from some of the consultancies, the international consultancies, PwC, E&Y and others. They get advice on exactly what to do going forward. So nothing is wrong with that.
But even in terms of mitigating against that risk, I want you to take me through the long-term loan guarantees for small and medium enterprises. Thank you. How does that differ from some of the other things on the market? How does it really benefit SMEs?
Well, the importance of the caveat in that program would be the government loan guarantee. The loan guarantee is up to 80%. There's a 2-year moratorium, which means you have no loan repayments for the first 2 years of that program, which means you can put your capital back into your business instead of paying loan repayments. So that that in itself gives you a better chance of being capitalized and to survive as a business. You also have to go through the due diligence process at the commercial banks that are participating in this program. That also helps. As I said, I've heard a lot of people out of business ideas. And just because you like it does not mean it makes sense, right? We all have ideas. They're not all always great ideas. So it's good to receive proper advice from persons who may be qualified or experienced, so to save you a lot of headache and a lot of wasted time.
Will some of the individuals giving advice be some of the people who are able to filter some of these ideas? And I ask that question so that there is a little, there's a smaller gap between one step and the other. Because you might be carrying, you might have an idea that to you, like you said, is the best thing since sliced bread, but you take it
Correct.
to somebody who is gluten intolerant. So they want no part of that. And even
Yes.
like looking at the fact that there may be individuals like credit unions that may be a little more lenient understanding of individuals who are operating in a short-term contract system, and they're using from that capital that they're building right about now to
Yes.
start their business. So which is something that bankers may in some instances may frown on a little bit. So how does that interplay work out?
Yeah. So, as I said, I think advice is the most important part of the entire program. The guarantees are beneficial, but I think all of us at some point need to stress test our business ideas. And there's some persons who have spent the time qualifying themselves. Look at our consultants, a lot of well qualified individuals who would understand the various aspects of marketing, accounting, um, various aspects of business. How do you get involved in the export market? For example, a lot of international trade is built on competitive advantages. Okay, so if you start a business and you intend to somehow get involved in export, you have to ensure that you can compete against the other players in those export markets. So you may think you have a good product, but can you deliver that product at a price point that will allow you to compete and to survive in the international domain? And there are many products that, because of Trinidad and Tobago's various advantages, can do extremely well. But you have to work with those forces. You try to work against those forces, you're going to have a very difficult time. And to have someone at the very beginning to tell you, you know what, you would have a difficult time selling okros in Guyana, because Guyana has huge scale advantage and can sell okros at a fraction of the cost that you can produce okros. So from the very beginning, I know that I cannot sell okros into Guyana. Instead of me learning that lesson 3, 4 years down the line, after you spent a lot of your capital and a lot of your time. So that's why the proper advice of people who know what they're saying is extremely essential. And that's part of what this program does.
I like the fact that you make an agricultural reference, and that begs me to ask the question, are there specific ministries that are holding hands together with the Ministry of Finance in endeavors like this, building capacity and the wherewithal of SMEs?
Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we have the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We're working with the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. There are huge benefits for companies that get to the point where they can list on the stock exchange. First of all, the major benefit that's provided by the Ministry of Finance is that the first 5 years, you will not pay any taxes. Income taxes, green fund levy, all of that, you won't pay any taxes. Then for the second 5 years, you will pay 50% of those taxes on your business. That is to give an incentive to list on the stock exchange, to gain access to capital, and to give these companies a better chance at survival. We've been working with the Ministry of Industry and Trade, Ministry of Agriculture. There's the ADB Bank for agricultural businesses. We have a slew of agencies available and ready to help business people in Trinidad and Tobago. We want to make the system less complicated and less opaque by bringing everything under a single portal, so that persons have an easier time of accessing information and capital that they need.
Accessing information is one thing. Ease of doing business might be something a little different. But I want to ask, though, is what defines success in an endeavor like this? Because some people may say, okay, well, we have these SMEs and they're making this amount of money. Some other persons might say, okay, well, because these SMEs have been establishing and are developing, we now need to bring less things into the country spending Forex. How do
Yes.
you look at it? How does it, what's the ministry's position on that?
I would say all of the above. One, we have persons who are able to stand on their own 2 feet and to have their own businesses, and that is what they would want to do. Fantastic if we have more businesses earning foreign exchange in Trinidad and Tobago. That puts less pressure, of course, on our exchange rate. Foreign direct investment, it brings more capital and increases economic activity. It creates jobs. It makes for a more dynamic economy. It makes for a better country. So all of those things that you mentioned, is exactly what it is we want to see, and to make this economy into one that is the most competitive and deepest within the entire region.
Minister Brian Manning, Minister in the Ministry of Finance, we want to thank you so much for taking the time and helping us get through a little more on terms of understanding where some of those places we can go to get information in terms of the portal. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. For any more information, please look on the Ministry of Finance's website. There are a slew of information there and phone numbers. We are happy to help. All the best, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for having me.